Alright, what's up, how are you guys doing? New leveling Arise vid. Today we're gonna go over the most important but confusing aspect of this game, artifacts. I'm going to go over what you should choose between flat stat and percentage because I feel like it's still confusing a lot of people. Then I'm going to give you guys the best sets to run on each SSR Hunter one by one. We're gonna cover every SSR Hunter. The video will have timestamps for each Hunter so you can find easily what you're looking for. And the new Netmarble supporter season just started. The supports have been reset, so make sure you go and renew your support to get codes whenever they release. Thank you guys a lot. Let's get into the vid. Alright, so first thing first, we're gonna go over the percentage or additional whole debate. I don't know if it's a debate, but whatever. Should you go percentage or additional? First, I want to show you guys this. A +4 on percentage gives me 28%. This is not even the highest you can go. You can actually go up to 30%. Do I have it here? Yeah, exactly, 30%. So you can go up to 30%. As you can see here, the max you can go on additional is, let's say, 2k additional attack, right? So keep those numbers in mind, and then I'm going to show you guys something. So with percentage, you can go up to 30%, and with additional, you can go up to 2k attack. A main stat, when it's additional, is 1.8, whereas a main stat, when it's percentage, is only 21%. So the percentage scales much higher on a substat than on the main stat. On the other hand, the main stat with additional doesn't scale that much less than the substat. So this is the reason you want to go for percentage, is whenever you proc percentage, or even if you don't proc it, you'll be better off having it as the substat and have additional as the main stat. You will most likely and always end up with more attack that way. Same goes with HP and defense, they work the same way. Alright, now let's get on to the sets Hunter by Hunter, and we're gonna start off by the newest added Kings of Human GOTO. So I'm not going to go over the substats at all. I'm not also going to go over the cores at all. The cores, there's already a guide up on my channel for every hunter, so you can just check it out. As for the substats, I'm going to do special videos for each hunter later down the road. I think I'm going to start that this week or the next week. I'm going to go over every SSR hunter and dedicate a whole vid to how to maximize their set and kit and everything. So now we're only going to talk about sets, and GOTO, you want to go for that 8-piece grid. He is a breaker, obviously, and he's also a breaker that supports his team, so it's perfect to run that set for him. If he is a support, for example, when you play Sung Jinwoo, you can also run for analysis and for Sylph. For analysis will enable him to break a bit more than Grid does, and then he will also boost your Sung Jinwoo with the Sylph set. So moving on to our first DPS of the vid, Mirei, you want to run that 4-piece curse, and 4-piece curse on the left side is going to be a staple for every DPS. Every single DPS will run this, no matter what they scale of, no matter what they do. This is the set you want to run on the left side. Now on the right side, for Mirei, you want to run that 4 expert set. She scales that set really fast as she crits a lot and does a lot of hits, but also because you stay a lot on her throughout the fight. You don't switch a lot of hunters when you play win team, you stay on Mirei a lot, so she scales that really fast. On the other hand, for example, if you're doing simulation gate or a fast-paced game mode, you can run full obsidian. Disclaimer though, if you run obsidian, having Hansemi is a must, otherwise she will not get that boost quite often because she will run out of MP at some point. Now we can get on to KANAE, and KANAE has a special build. This is the build I run for Guild Boss, but also run on any other game mode to maximize her damage, 2 curse, 2 1-hit kill, and 4 expert. Just like Mirei, you stack that expert set pretty good with KANAE, and then you have that 2-piece 1-hit kill to enhance the damage you get on her E, as her E is considered a ultimate skill. As an alternative, you could run 4-piece executioner on the right side. This is what I do when I run Deimos, as I want to speedrun it as fast as I can. For Thomas, as he doesn't scale off a tie, his right side is going to be different than the other DPS we've seen, but his left side is as always the same one, so 4 curse and 4 obsidian. Obsidian is here just because it is the best way to get additional damage as a hunter that doesn't scale off attack. Unlike Cha, who her can stack off attack, so you want to run that 4-piece expert. You could run something else, let's say executioner, if it wasn't for Guild Boss, but I only run her on Guild Boss, so that is the only thing I run with her. And honestly, I think you could run expert no matter what the game mode is, as she has little to no use. We are now on to our second breaker of the list after GOTO, and just like GOTO, she is a great breaker that also supports the team, so that full grid set is gonna be perfect. And just like GOTO, if you run her as a support for Sung Jin-woo, you want to run that for analysis and for self for the same reasons I mentioned. And obviously, just like any other breaker, I'm sorry, this is gonna be a staple for breakers. That 8-piece grid is just too much support, so obviously every breaker is gonna run that full set, and GUNHEE is no exception. You will also run for analysis and for self if you are supporting your Sung Jin-woo team. SOOHYUN, on the other hand, is an exception to the hunters that scale off attack and run expert. She doesn't run expert as she stacks it like shit. So obviously you want to run that full obsidian set. Obsidian really makes the difference for her. And obviously on the left side, you want to run that 4-piece curse once again to get that additional damage. The ultimate hunter, the DPS, once became a support. CHOI, obviously, as you can see, full blessing. This is going to be the staple, just like full grid is a staple for the breakers. Full blessing is really what you can run on your supports. You could also run CHOI as a DPS if you want to. This is not optimal, and it's honestly not that great because he doesn't deal that much damage, but it's a possibility if you want. If you run him as a support, you will see you can also run him with Guardian on the left side, Sylph on the right side, also Angel in White on the left side. There is all this thing that you could run on the left side and then Sylph on the right side for supports if you have like 2 supports on your team, but we're gonna go over this afterwards with ISLA. Alright, now on to ALICIA, and she is the second exception I talked about. Just like SOOHYUN, you want to run Forkers on the left side, that's pretty normal, and then you want to run for Obsidian on the right side, because just like SOOHYUN, you don't stay on her that much, and so you will not stack expert that well. Obviously, Obsidian is the way to go. Her MP is not much of a problem either, so this is perfect for her. And earlier I talked about supports and how you could run 2 different things depending on how many supports you have in your team. So if you have only 1 support in your team, he's gonna run that full blessing set just like ISLA does right now. But if you have 2, let's say, supports in your team, or for example, if you have 2 supports when you play Sung Jin-woo, the other support will use Sylph to boost even further the DPS of the team. And on the left side, he could run 3 different things, being Guardian for the extra damage if there's a shield applied, Holy for the extra attack, or Angel in White for the additional damage. This alternative is only when you already have someone running full blessing, obviously, because 2 full blessing hunters wouldn't stack on top of each other. They would just give the same boost longer, or one would just not work at all. Now onto the most underrated DPS of the game, in my opinion, Beast BAEK. You want to run Forkers as always, and on his right side you want to run the very special Berserker set. It only works for him because he halves his own HP at the start of the game, so he always has that 60% damage increase boost. It only works for him. You could also run Obsidian because he has no MP problems whatsoever, so it's either Berserker or Obsidian. Either works, either are great. Speaking of Obsidian, this is what you want to run with Charlotte. Charlotte, just like Thomas, scales off defense, so Obsidian is a must-have on the right side, and on the left side, as she's a DPS, this is curse that you want to go with. Now onto Emma. Quite literally fell off badly when ESIL came out, obviously, but if you were to run her at all, you would run her with full grid as always, or, as I said before, if she is a support in your Sung Jin-woo team, you would run for analysis and for Sylph. Now onto GINA, and just like ISLA, you have 2 possibilities for her. One is running Guardian and Sylph. It is great for her as she gives a shield and also increases the damage whenever there's a shield just from her passive, so it really combos really well with Guardian, and that's the main set I use when I use GINA. But you can also run full blessing, it works fine. It also gives more BP, as an 8-piece set gives more BP than 2 4-piece sets. So this is really the difference between both. I feel like I get more damage with that 4 and 4, but I also get less BP, so if you have BP problems, feel free to run that 8-piece blessing. Just like Thomas and Charlotte, DONGSOO, aka GOTO for me, and DONGPOO for the others, is running that 4-piece curse, 4-piece obsidian. Now you may think, what the fuck is that set you're running? Well, that set I'm running is the best set you can run on her for Guild Boss only. This is a Guild Boss only set, And if you are wondering why I'm running this, make sure you check out my guild boss guide that's on the channel. It's up and it's still viable, so make sure you check it out. If you are not doing guild boss, make sure you run that full blessing set as always to help you get more damage with your Mirei and Goto. Now on to Jinchul, the one that suffered the most from Goto's release. Just like any other breaker, you want to get that 8-piece greed. He stacks it really well as he has multiple hits on his skills and he can use them multiple times. And as always, if you use him as a support, you can run him with 4 analysis and 4 sylph. Unlike Jinchul, Harper is still a great breaker, but just like Jinchul, the 2 sets you could run on her are full greed or, as always, that 4 analysis and 4 sylph for the supports on Songjinwoo team. I think it's pretty obvious how great the greed buff is with how you run it on all breakers of the game. So make sure you farm those pieces and get them for all your breakers. This is really important. MEILIN, just like any other support, you can run her with 4 guardian for sylph or with the infamous full blessing if she's the only support in your team. Now on to the Booba Bora. This is my guild boss set as well. 4 toughness, for expert. If you run her as a support in your hunter team or with Songjinwoo, you can run her with full blessing. Seo, just like any other breaker, runs full greed, and just like any other breaker, she can run 4 analysis and 4 sylph. Unlike other breakers, she would be really good with Guardian as the left side as well because of that shield she gives to Songjinwoo. And just like you expected, the best set for BAEK Light is obviously full greed, staple, a breaker, 4 analysis, 4 sylph if he is a support. Lim, who was supposed to be some kind of DPS at the same time of being a breaker and ended up being bad at both, you would still run him with full greed or, like I said, 4 analysis, 4 sylph if he was a support for your Songjinwoo. Realistically, you don't run him for either because he is dog shit. Now onto the most versatile support of this game. For me personally, I love running Destroyer because that means he gets his ult the moment you QTE the first time with him. Like if you get into the battle, you QTE onto Min, he will have his ult thanks to that Destroyer set. So I personally think it's great. Then obviously on the right side, you run sylph to boost your team as much as possible. But if you don't really like that Destroyer thing, you can just run full blessing. It works just fine. Obviously with sylph, you could run something else like Holy, Angel in White or Guardian, it works fine as well. Now onto Akari, and Akari I feel like would be the only support you wouldn't run with full blessing, just because you would only run her with GUNHEE and Thomas, so I feel like having that Guardian set really makes sense to have that 10% more damage on your hunters all the time. And then on the right side, just like any supports when you don't run blessing, you want for sylph. And that wraps up the video. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure you drop a like and comment. I will be doing the hunter by hunter vids soon enough, so make sure you don't miss those. Thanks a lot for watching once again. I'll catch you guys in my next one. See ya.